I don't know, Larry, if you want to say anything about how Burning Man started, but I'd be curious.
I can talk about
I mean, what do you think made that thing grow?
Well, let me say this in response to something that was just said. I agree. You can't base the core of a culture on sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Only an adolescent would think that. The 60s was about the baby boom, this huge age cohort that was spawned and came of age at that time. And one reason it was so exciting was because we emerged out of immense security. The 50s were boring, but the 50s were secure. Families were whole. And as the 60s began and Johnson's Free Society came in, everything was free. Education, food, you name it. The entire hippie cuisine was based on free food. Lentils, bulgur, and those conditions have changed. Young people right now have been brought up in an era in which nothing is secure. Families have unraveled. Jobs, forget it. There's no social safety net. Capitalism has achieved its late monstrous postmodern bloom. And since 1950, I was born in '48. Since 1950, the baby boomers were the first TV generation. Well, the generation now, they've been diddled by the media beyond anything anybody could have imagined them. Every value in our world has been commodified. Everything. And if you don't, and in a world where every value, every transaction, every relationship is a commodity transaction, then there will be no culture. There will be no spirituality. There won't really be much of anything. And yet, I'm working constantly with people who are in their 20s and 30s. Our mean age out there is, it's 30s, into 40s, and then some 20s, and then 60s, and then 6-year-olds. And part of the reason that we've grown as much as we have is that we did something that my generation didn't do. The fact of the matter is, in the 60s, at least the hippie part, the hippies were just avid consumers, really. They were happy consumers. The only people who came up with a critique of it later on were the punks. As unattractive as they were, they figured out what the essential problem was. They figured out they would not sell out. They would not be commodified. They didn't go to big venues. They did their art in garages. And they made it so repulsive that it couldn't be commodified. I mean, that really was part of their idea. We will make this so obnoxious that no one is going to hawk this and sell it, denature it, and rip it out by its roots, and rob it of any reality it ever had in an actual community. The fact of the matter is, life was so damn easy. And it flattered our vanity enormously. I'm not saying good things didn't come out of it. I think that there was a vision of community, but you're not going to create community unless you struggle together with other people. You will not create community unless you face survival with other people. Community isn't about sentiment. It's not about kumbaya. It's not about loving other people per se. It's about struggling with them, because only when you struggle together for survival with other people do you begin to see their soul. That's how it's done. And in a consumer society where you live with your credit card and you're completely independent of everybody else, then you will not have community. You just have a lot of pieties about it. One of the reasons we grew is that we took people out into the desert and we made them face survival together. And that took a whole lot of nonsense out of it. And it wasn't enough. And there wasn't free kitchens. We said, bring food, survive. And then it turned out that people became communal, began to share resources, began to work with one another in this very immediate way. Not out of an ideal, but because they had to. And I look at kids today, and it's interesting. There's a communal basis for the way they relate to one another. It's just different from the way it was then. What they're doing is forming little. They've grown up in this world where there isn't any security, and so they hang on to one another, and they form these little these little cohorts, and indeed, it's really very interesting. We started a thing called a theme camp. It turned out we got our whole city is organized around theme camps, 20, 30, 100, 200 people working together to produce some kind of gift made through art that they offer to a civic society. It's what they're doing out there anyway. The thing about the 60s is we were so vain we were egotistical. We were so vain about ourselves. We could afford to be. We could afford to be. It was too easy. Listen, the 60s it was America's great recess. It was recess. And it was fun. And there were ideals. And there were great thinkers, too. I have my intellectual heroes come out of that era. They were great. It was a glimpse and it was a vision. And it's a vision that can be started anew. But it's got to be started in a new way, and I think we tell ourselves too many lies about the past. I think we should take the best of it and move on. That's all I'm saying.